is Valerie Escobar, certified financial planner with Mariner Wealth Advisors, and I am joined with Ric Edelman, creator and founder of DACFP. It's so good to have you, Ric.
Oh, it's good to be with you, Valerie. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to make a confession. I drove my car to work, and I have zero idea how it works. But I still use it all the time. And today I want to talk about crypto. And I feel like this topic is a little bit similar. I don't know, is that scary that I use equipment and different things that I'm not quite sure I totally understand how it all works?
No, you're making perfect sense. And that's really the key to technological success. When the tech fades into the background and you don't even notice that you're using it, you know the tech is successful. We enter texts and we send emails. We upload info to Facebook. We don't know how any of that stuff works, and we don't need to know. What matters is the communication we're engaging in. The underlying technology of texting is not our problem any more than you need to understand the principles of internal combustion in order to drive a car. So it's exactly the same thing. So the problem we have in crypto right now is that the tech is so new that we're in the early stages. And it means that we're paying a lot of attention to the tech, trying to understand how does it work, when in fact, we're kind of forgetting, look at what the tech does as opposed to how it works. And when we cross that threshold, that's when you'll know that crypto has entered the mainstream and it's a part of our everyday lives. That's probably 3 to 5 years out.
Okay.
And we're fast getting there, and it's really rather exciting. But to your point, we're still trying to understand how do car engines work.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that you sort of validated me there, because that is one of the fears that I hear a lot from clients is, they're like, well, it's not real, it's going to go away. And maybe that's the first question. Is it going to go away? And if not, why do you not think so?
Oh, goodness, no, it's not going to go away. Everyone is in full agreement that crypto is here to stay. Larry Fink just said that exact thing about 3 weeks ago. The reason it's here to stay is very simple. Crypto, let's refer to it by its proper name, blockchain technology, is simply software. It's newer, better software. We operate globally in a software world. Everything we do is digital these days. I mean, when's the last time you used cash to buy something? We live our lives online. We upload our photos and we put our calendars there. We communicate with our friends and family digitally, via emails and texts. Everything in our lives is online these days. We communicate with our clients, providing them account information and statements and so on. So it's just software. And businesses rely on software today. And when you look at the newest version of business software called blockchain technology, it simply lets businesses operate faster, cheaper, safer, with greater inclusion and transparency. What's not to love? So businesses are rapidly figuring out how to adopt this new software to their businesses because of all the business benefits it derives. It allows them to save money while increasing profits. That's why it's here to stay.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to love with that. Everyone loves a good margin. And one of the things you just mentioned is safety, right? I think one of the things that feels strange is that with blockchain technology, it's not hidden, right? So we're always told, hide your social security, keep your password secret. But with this, it's the visibility that makes it safe. Is that a correct understanding, or help me understand what makes it safe?
There are two aspects that increase the level of safety. Number one, to your point, is public disclosure, is transparency. The fact that there are no closed rooms, where people are making decisions without anybody knowing it. The fact that no central authority controls the data is what makes this so safe. The Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. And many regard it as unhackable. There's a theoretical possibility, but it is ridiculously unrealistic to try to actually make it real. And the reason that Bitcoin's blockchain is considered unhackable is that it's not a centralized database. I mean, hackers go after Visa and T-Mobile and Disney because they know where those computers are. We know how to attack them. This is why the Defense Department is constantly being barraged with hacker efforts. But the advantage of the Bitcoin blockchain is that it isn't centralized. The data is instead secured on tens of thousands of computers scattered all over the world. The only way you could penetrate the blockchain is if you gained control of a majority of those computers simultaneously. It's virtually impossible to do. And this is why it's never been hacked, and most consider it unhackable. That's the first reason that this is considered so safe. The second reason it's considered safe is that in order to use it, we don't need to have a single point of truth. In other words, think about when you give somebody your driver's license. Very often people demand that. You go to the doctor's office, they want to verify who you are, let alone going to a government agency or what have you. And if you're trying to buy alcohol in a bar, they want to see your driver's license, right? Because they want to verify your age. Well, think of all the information on your driver's license. It's got physical elements, your height and your weight and your hair color and eye color. It's got your date of birth. It's got your address. It's got your driver's license number. The bartender doesn't need to see all of that. So why not simply have a database that you can provide to the bartender that gives the bartender cryptographic authentication that you're over 18, but they don't have to see any of the other data. That's what blockchain technology allows us to do. And that is what allows us to operate our lives safer. We don't have to give all of our data to people who frankly don't need to see it in order for us to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. This is revolutionary technology that's never been able to be done before. And this is one of the reasons it's so exciting.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's really, I guess, the world is so big in blockchain because there are so many applications. And I think one of the, what we experience, I suppose, as advisors is the investment piece.
Right.
And so, that is, from what I understand, that's kind of a little tiny piece of the universe when it comes to that, right? But how do we do that? I guess, how do we buy crypto? And there's so many different types of crypto, right? Or blockchain technology, Bitcoin, for example. So give me a little bit of clarity there.
Sure. There are really two questions that come up. You've asked one of them. The other question is, why do I need to care about Bitcoin? I mean, what I've just described is referring to blockchain technology itself. And everybody pretty much gets it. Blockchain is pretty cool. And we all understand that this is new and better software. What does that have to do with Bitcoin or other digital assets? So let me answer that question first. Think of it like a casino. When you go into a casino and you sit down at the poker table, you can't play with dollars. The casino requires you to convert your dollars into casino chips. You play with chips, you move the chips around the table, and when you're finished, you take whatever chips you have left, cash them in, return them to dollars. Blockchain is the same thing. If you want to take your data and put it onto the blockchain, you can't do this with dollars. You have to use the token that is native to that platform. So if, in that sense, blockchain is like the casino and Bitcoin are like the chips. You've got to take your dollars, turn them into Bitcoin in order to place data onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And it's really that simple. So if you're a full believer of blockchain technology, by definition, you're acknowledging the legitimacy and importance, relevance of Bitcoin. And so now we recognize that there's Bitcoin, but there are also 20,000 alternative coins to Bitcoin, which is where your second question comes in and the confusion of, well, how do I choose and how do I buy? So let's look at the marketplace. Bitcoin was the first digital asset invented with blockchain technology. And why do we need any more than that? What's wrong with just having Bitcoin? Why are there 20,000 other coins? Well, think about the shoes in your closet. You've got more than one pair of shoes, Valerie, right?
You guessed right.
And the reason is you have different purposes, different uses. You have shoes for running and jogging and working out. You have shoes for the office. You have shoes for the opera. We have different shoes for different purposes. Bitcoin serves one particular purpose, and that is to provide a safe store of value of money. But the problem with Bitcoin is that it transfers money from person to person, user to user, very slowly. The Bitcoin blockchain can only handle 7 transactions per second. The reason it's so slow is that is what helps it be so secure. By verifying each transaction carefully, slowly, methodically, cryptographically, we verify the data is legit. So the good news is it's very secure. The bad news is it's very slow. To put it into context, 7 transactions a second, compare that to Visa. They do 17,000 transactions a second. So Visa is so much faster. And
Yeah.
that's an inherent problem with Bitcoin. And that is what led to the development of Ethereum. Ethereum came along about 6 years after Bitcoin to solve the problem of speed. And Ethereum is still not fast enough, but it allows us to do things Bitcoin can't do. For example, with Bitcoin, if I send you my Bitcoin, the problem is you receive it. I might not want you to. I might want you to get my Bitcoin only if you do something for me, like give me concert tickets or the deed to your house. Or I might want you to get my Bitcoin only if you win the bet in the Super Bowl. It's an if-then scenario, a contract. And businesses use contracts all the time. You can't create a contract with Bitcoin. If I hit the send button, you get my Bitcoin, end of story. With Ethereum, I can program it. It's why it's called smart money or programmable, where we can say that you'll receive my Ethereum only upon a certain event or condition, the weather or the temperature or a certain amount of time passes, or you fulfill a condition such as the winner of a sporting event or the winner of an election, or you deliver a product or service to me. So Ethereum has a business application that Bitcoin doesn't have. When you go down the daisy chain of all of these different coins, they're all trying to do something that other coins do not. Think about the difference of a 2-seater sports car versus a truck. They're trying to accomplish different things and they serve different purposes. And that's why many of them exist today. Now, having said that, there are today 20,000 of these coins. And let's face it, the overwhelming majority are not needed. There are probably only a couple of dozen that have a legitimate purpose in business and commerce that are going to attract enough users to be legitimate and useful and persist. The other 19,000 and change are probably going to disappear. Some of them are frankly outright frauds or marketing gimmicks. So when people are asking the question, well, how do I buy? How do I invest? Our answer is typically, so there are different ways you can engage in this. Buying crypto itself, buying a fund of crypto, buying stocks of the crypto ecospace. There are a lot of different ways you can do it today.
Yeah. And maybe my last point is just I have 2 different ones, but you made the casino analogy earlier, right? And so when we're thinking, some people, it's new, right? And so they're worried about it. I like to talk about the gambling money that you have. Everybody says, okay, I want to spend a little bit on something that I feel to be a little bit speculative. In your book, you talk about the amount that an investor should really dedicate to it. And I think that analogy kind of carries over. So can you talk about that, about how much anybody should invest? And is it too late? Did we already miss the boat if we're not already in it?
So it is not too late. However, having said that, as you noted, Valerie, it's risky. There's no question about it. We've seen amazing price volatility. There is still a lot of uncertainty from regulators around the world about the management and handling of this. So it is early, just like investing in the internet in the 90s was early. So today, if you own stock ETFs, you own Google, you own Amazon, you own Microsoft and Apple. But in the 1990s, buying Amazon would have been extraordinarily speculative. So it's up to you. You could buy early and get rich when it works, or go broke when it fails. Remember pets.com. Or you can wait until it becomes one of the most valuable in the world, and at which point becomes a no-brainer to buy it. The people who bought Google in the 90s became fabulously wealthy. The people who own Google today are buying a reasonably good and safe business that is going to likely continue to do well. But they're not going to get the investment returns that people got who bought it back in the 90s and early 2000s. So it's your choice as to whether you want to invest now or wait for this asset to be more proven and more into the mainstream. How much should you invest? In my book, The Truth About Crypto, I recommend 1% asset allocation. That's it. And people are sometimes surprised to hear me say that because they regard me as such an optimist about this asset class. Why only 1%? Two reasons. First, if we're right and Bitcoin grows 10 or 20x in price, a 1% allocation is all you need to materially improve your total portfolio return. But if we're wrong and Bitcoin blows up and it's worthless, 1% isn't going to harm you. It won't interfere with your future financial security. So 1% is perfectly sufficient. It's kind of like telling a client, go ahead and buy a lottery ticket. Just don't put your life savings in lottery tickets.
Right.
You only need one to hit it rich. And if you lose the dollar, who cares? I'm not the only one saying this. Yale did a study, and their conclusion was 3% of assets. The CFA Institute wrote a huge report. Their conclusion was 2.5% of assets. So pretty much everybody who is studying this is in agreement. Low single-digit allocation is all you really need.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ric. I really feel like, this, for me anyways, I think it gives us a level of comfort saying, yes, it's new. Yes, it can be scary because it's different. But you don't need to throw everything in it. You don't need to bet your firstborn to get part of this future. And well, Bitcoin's a great place to start. And your book was a wonderful learning for me. And I really appreciate you joining us on the show and kind of giving us an overview.
Well, I'm really glad to have been helpful, Valerie. And it's really important for advisors to pay attention to this because clients are expecting you to be knowledgeable about this subject so you can answer their questions. And so reading my book, The Truth About Crypto, is a great way to start. So I'm happy to be helpful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all you audience members for joining us today. Again, this is Your Life Simplified. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening.
Mariner Wealth Advisors, or MWA, is an SEC-registered investment advisor with its principal place of business in the state of Kansas. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. MWA is in compliance with the current notice filing requirements imposed upon registered investment advisors by those states in which MWA maintains clients. MWA may only transact business in those states in which it is notice filed or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from notice filing requirements. Any subsequent direct communication by MWA with a prospective client shall be conducted by a representative that is either registered or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from registration in the state where the prospective client resides. For additional information about MWA, including fees and services, please contact MWA or refer to the Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website at www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money. The views expressed in this podcast is for educational purposes only and do not take into account any individual personal, financial, legal, or tax considerations. As such, the information contained herein is not intended to be personal, legal, investment, or tax advice. Nothing herein should be relied upon as such, and there is no guarantee that any claims made will come to pass. The opinions are based on information and sources of information deemed to be reliable, but Mariner Wealth Advisors does not warrant the accuracy of the information. The guest today is not affiliated with Mariner Wealth Advisors, and their opinions expressed are their own. Certified Financial Planner, trademark, CFP, registered trademark, and federally registered CFP with flame design marks, collectively the CFP registered marks, are professional certification marks granted in the United States by Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards, Inc., also CFP Board. The CFP, registered trademark, certification is a voluntary certification. No federal or state law or regulation requires financial planners to hold the CFP certification.